Well, here we are on location, guys. Today it's a bit cloudy, a gloomy day today. I'm at a place called Bahar Chat in Malta, and I'm gonna show you how I set up my shot for long exposure, black and white fine art. I'm gonna show you where I'm heading. Let me just turn the camera around. We got the sea to my left. Quite calm today. Will be much better if it was a bit choppy. But as you know, everyone, it can't always be how you want it to be. So you just got to make the best out of your shot. Got a bit further to go. And once we're there, I'll set up my tripod, my camera, and I'll show you the filters, what kind of filters I use. But I'll be heading up a bit more. So I see you there on the exact spot. I'm not sure if this shot will work out how I planned it to work out, but like I said before, we'll try and make the best out of what we have. While my camera is all set up, I'm using a Fujifilm X-T4. Has great image quality. I set my camera to shoot in black and white. My ISO is on the lowest, the 160. I'm on f11, which is the sweet spot for this lens, and I take the first shot just how it is with a shutter speed of over 100. I'm not sure if you can see the image on the screen, on the LCD screen. That's the shot we'll be taking. I'm using the rule of thirds here. And now I'm going to insert a 10-stop ND filter. Well, this is my ND filter. I don't buy anything expensive. I just use the K&F concept. Well, I've searched the 10-stop ND filter, and it's given me a shot, an exposure of around 8 seconds. I'm going to try it out and see how it is, considering the water is already calm. And I'll just take the shot and see how it turns out. 2-second timer, and we wait 8 seconds. I'm going to check the shot on the screen. Seems okay. I'll show it to you on the screen, guys. And I'm going to try and insert a 3-stop ND filter on top of the 10-stop. And we'll see how it turns out. Now we have a 10-stop and a 3-stop. And it's giving me a 30-second exposure. Take the shot again. And I'll see you in 30 seconds. Well, I managed to take a 2-minute exposure. It came quite nice. I like it, how it is. I didn't need to use go in bulb mode for the long exposure. One great thing about these Fujifilm cameras is you can dial it all the way up to 2 minutes, but as long as you check your histogram that you don't get overexposure. And then I use the internal timer of 2 minutes. I've taken another shot. Well, I hope you enjoyed this part of the video, guys. And I'll see you all back in the studio, and I'll show you how to edit, post-process black and white fine art. Well, I'll see you back in the studio. Well, here we are, guys, back in the studio now, and we'll be editing this image in Adobe Camera Raw. I'll be showing you how to turn an image like this into black and white fine art. So bear with me throughout the video, and you won't be disappointed with the results. We're going to start off by using the exposure panel up here on the right. Using Lightroom is just the same. And we're going to start off by lowering the highlights all the way down. I'm not going to touch the shadows because I've pushed my histogram to the right already. I always shoot to the right, like they say. Your histogram, you push it to the right so you get the best exposure you can. I'm going to increase the whites until I see clippings. I'm going to decrease the blacks until I see clippings on the histogram, I mean. And I'm going to reduce the exposure to even out the histogram. And I'm going to raise the blacks to remove the clippings. And there we have an even exposure. Next, I'm going to go down to the effects panel, increase a bit of texture, a touch of clarity, and I'm going to increase the dehaze to around there. Again, I'm going to go back and increase the blacks. To about there. And I'm going to remove this dust spot here. And I'm just going to use the heal tool. And that should be okay. I've already straightened out the horizon. I reduced the image just a bit. Like I said, on location, I placed the rock in the rule of thirds. And now I'm going to go down to the detail panel, decrease the radius, increase the detail, hold down the masking, hold down the Alt key and raise the masking to around there because I just want to sharpen the rock. And I'm going to increase a bit more sharpening to around there. Next, I'm going to go down to the calibration. I do this for all my black and white edits. I always increase the color as much as I can. And I'm going to push it all the way. Don't worry, it looks a bit too much, but don't forget we're turning it into black and white. And that's what we need for black and white fine art. Next, I'm going to go, I'm going to take this edit over to Photoshop, just a couple of minutes, and bring it back into Adobe Camera Raw. So bear with me guys, and please don't stop watching the video because I'm going in Photoshop. It's just a few minutes because I do not use the black and white button up here. It just gives you a flat image, which I'll show you now. And for me, it's dull and flat. So we'll be taking it over to Photoshop and turn it into black and white in Photoshop. We're in Photoshop now. I'm going to go down to the adjustments layer here and click on the black and white. But it's giving me just the same image if I use the one in Adobe Camera Raw or Lightroom. So we're going to close this panel, leave it how it is, and we're going to go back down to the adjustments layer and we're going to click on the gradient map. If you have this small window here saying smooth, just click on the drop down window here and click on classic. And there, as you can see, we have a much better image than if we use the one in Adobe Camera Raw or Lightroom. I'm going to close here, flatten it, and I'm going to go back to Adobe Camera Raw. Like I said, it just was a 2-minute job, that's all. And we go back to Adobe Camera Raw and we begin the editing process of turning it into black and white fine art. I'm going to reduce the image size. I'm going to click again on the exposure panel and I'm going to reduce the highlights even more to get more detail out of the sky. I'm going to increase the whites also, like that, and next a bit of contrast, not too much, and there should be okay. Now we're going to start the masking part. Bear with me guys, it's a simple edit, we'll soon be ready. And the first mask I'm going to use is the linear gradient. And I'm going to place it over the sky. I'm going to reduce the exposure. Like that. I'm going to use another linear gradient over the sky, but not so much down towards the horizon, just the top part, and reduce the exposure once again. To around there. Another linear gradient, but now for the bottom part of the sea. To about there. If you hold down the up arrow on your keyboard, the mask goes straight. And I'm going to reduce the exposure just a bit. I'm going to reduce the exposure again on this mask. To even out the top sky and the bottom part of the sea. We try and get them to the same dark bit how they are. Next, I'm going to use a radial gradient. And I'm going to place it over this part here. And we'll be doing some dodging and burning. And I'm just going to increase the exposure. Should be okay. Now I'm going to switch over to the brush. Reduce the brush size as much as I can. Always make sure your feather is 100. And I'm going to increase the exposure. And I'm going to place it over here. Here and here. Somewhat here. A bit down there. And we're just enhancing the whiter part of this rock. I'm going to use another brush. Hit K on your keyboard to get another brush. But now I'm going to reduce the exposure. And I'm going to place it here, here, a bit down there, maybe here, and that should be okay. And it's given us dodge and burn has given us that three-dimensional look. Next I'm going to use another radial gradient, and I'm going to place it over all of the rock. Don't forget guys, this is the main subject of the image. And we want to draw the viewer's eye to the subject. And I'm going to increase the exposure to about there. Always check your histogram for clippings. We should be okay. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use a luminance range, the eyedropper, and I'm going to click on this whiter part of the sky. As you can see, the mask has covered more of the sky, which I don't want. All I'm going to do is subtract it by using a brush. And I'm going to remove where I don't want the mask to be. It should be somewhere there. And I'm going to increase the exposure to around there. Should be okay. Next thing I'm going to do is use another radial gradient. And I'm going to create a vignette. But the vignette, I'm going to place it over the rock. Like I said, to draw the viewer's eye to the main subject. I'm going to open it more. And here we have to invert the mask. And now I'm going to reduce the exposure to around there. Should be great. I'm going to go back to the mask where I increase the exposure just on the rock. Hover over your masking you done previously and it will give you the mask that you want. And here I'm going to open it just a bit more. And I'm going to increase the whites. And a bit of shadow. And that should be okay. I'm going to head out of the masking, guys. And here I'm going to head down to the curve tool. This will be the last mask we use. I'm going to increase the highlights to around there all the way, as long as we don't see clipping on the histogram on the right side. I'm going to increase the whites also. And that should be great. I think I'm going to head back to the masking and I'm going to go back to the vignette, which was here. And I'm going to decrease the exposure a bit more. Now I'm going to reduce the image size to get a better look. And I'm going to show you the before and after by pressing P on the keyboard. That's the before without all the masking. It's just an ordinary black and white image. And here with the masking we've turned it into black and white fine art. Maybe I went a bit overboard here, but don't worry. Here there was like white water here. And you can decrease or increase as much as you like, as long as you don't see clippings on your histogram. Well, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to show you the image I edited before. I hope you like it. And make sure to hit the subscribe button and as usual a thumbs up and leave any comments below. Thank you guys and I'll see you later.